Shelby, get in. It's time for a house call.
Where are we headed, Renata?
Let me tell you on the way. I feel like I know I can picture exactly what's... Oh my Lord. You crack me up. You're a hoot.
I was trying not to react.
Okay, so sometimes it feels like you're stabbing the heart of the beast here a little bit.
It does a little bit.
Honestly, this is a one and done thing. When you stake a plant, you want it to go in and you don't want to twist it around or move it. Precarious, leggy, and unmanageable. Sometimes there are plants in our homes that fill out in a way that is unexpected and, let's admit it, unattractive. Without anticipation and excitement, houseplants become a burden rather than a pleasure. Having the energy to care for a plant that has become a problem is tough, and there are usually two results when one reaches this point in a plant's life. You either give up on that plant, or you roll up your sleeves and remedy the unwieldy problem. Kristi has tried a few stopgaps with her 3-year-old Monstera to no avail and is feeling stuck at this very point. It's time to implement a little elbow grease and prowess in the case of the Tipsy Monstera.
But here's the problem. Do you stake it? Do you just let it go? Apparently, I've just let it go.
So when we went in Kristi's house, there were 2 Monsteras, and they looked like twin sisters, cousins, whatever phrasing you want to use there. But they were also fair-sized and looking a little wild. Is that something you commonly see when plants get so large?
Yeah, a lot of our tropical plants, because our houseplants are tropicals, do have this kind of crazy look about them as they get bigger because they grow up and not a lot of people know that they need support, and so they just grow all over the place. Now, a lot of people are okay with this jungle feeling to a certain point, but then it goes over the cliff, I guess you could say, and it just gets overwhelming, and that is exactly the point Kristi's at right now.
Well, hello.
Hey, Kristi. How's it
Welcome.
going? Can I come in?
It's great. Come on in.
All right, I'm here to take a look at your Monstera.
Well, I'm having problems.
Monsteras.
I have problems.
Okay, well, never fear. Renata is here. Let's talk a little bit about Kristi's background in gardening. Growing up, Kristi had so many memories of her parents with their hands in the dirt. Her mom loved tending houseplants.
My mother, outstanding with houseplants.
And her dad had an affinity for vegetable gardening.
And then my dad was a great gardener. I have some really great memories of throwing cherry tomatoes across we had a really long dining room table, and we'd throw them across into each other's mouths.
And gardening wasn't the only way he was useful with his hands.
Anyway, but my dad was just very creative, and so that kind of, so I like to get my hands dirty.
As for why she's back into plants recently, she attributes it largely to missing her rural lifestyle and being in touch with nature.
When we moved to Wichita, I really just missed having kind of living things around me.
But her daughter-in-law may have also had something to do with her finding her love for plants again.
When she entered our family, she had such a love for plants. My first time actually at your plant bus was to go on there and buy plants for their rehearsal dinner.
As a teacher, Kristi feels extremely rewarded by watching someone grow and progress, and the same applies with plants. Though Kristi would say usually plants grow in spite of her, I'm gonna tell you it's definitely because of her.
I don't know, it almost feels like magic.
Yeah.
Because when something does thrive, especially when I've been ignoring it, and then you kind of turn around and see all of these vines coming everywhere, I kind of just get excited about the thought that I've done this. In some way I've contributed to this growth, and I work every day at my job. Growth is part of what I do every day, trying to help students grow and all these things. And I think it comes out of that nurturing part of me that I just really want to see everything grow, my students, and then also this hobby and these plants. And so when I do have those losses, it is kind of hard.
She really wants to explore the world of houseplants more, and more specifically, the practices that can make her plants more healthy.
But I feel like I want to. I find myself wanting to invest more and to dig deeper into the no's and the yeses.
And on that note, Kristi has this insane Monstera that's been flailing all over the place, and she really, really wants it to be supported in its own space so that it stops interrupting her card games when she has company over. So let's go over to Kristi's house to train Kristi how to train her Monstera. So Monsteras, you've got twins. You said you divided them from the one start. Cause yeah, did you buy it in a 4-inch pot?
I did.
Yeah. So when I sell them, they're like little tissue culture starts. Do you know what tissue culture is?
I do not.
So tissue culture, you can literally grow any plant from a single cell. You put a cell on agar, and it would then go into this callus phase where it just turned into like this blurb of callus, which
What's callus?
it's like undifferentiated cells. So they're not leaf cells, they're not root cells yet, they're just a blurb of cells. And eventually they start to differentiate, and then you get little roots and little shoots. And eventually the plant's like a couple inches big, and then it gets sent to greenhouses and they stick it into potting mix and grow it all the way out.
Wow. All I
Yeah.
can think of is flubber.
I mean, it kind of looked like hardened snot. Ew.
Hardened snot. I think that was,
You can picture it though, can't you?
yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So Monsteras that are tissue cultured are very juvenile, and they don't have what's called their fenestrations.
Fenestrations? What's that?
It's the holes on the leaves that kind of look like a bug's been chowing down, but they're very symmetrical and perfect, and the plant did it themselves. So when I sell those, they don't have the fenestrations, but I think it's so exciting for people to have the anticipation of waiting for those first holy leaves.
Yes, it is pretty. It's amazing.
Except for you had to wait so long.
It seemed like forever. It really did.
How long?
I would say for like a solid 6 months, Kristi would show up like periodically at the bus, and I'd be like, how's your Monstera doing? She'd be like, there are still no holes in the leaves. And I started to doubt myself by like the second to the last time she came. And so when she finally came to the bus, so Kristi had me anticipating the holes in her Monstera.
She's dedicated. She wanted them.
And I kept telling you, patience and light, right? I kept saying.
Patience and light. You said light. It's a reaction for light, and so I kept trying to keep it in the sun.
Fenestrations are really cool, and people are drawn to them because they're often very symmetrical looking. There's something about staring into the face of a Monstera leaf, you know?
It's really magical.
I know,
really
like
think it's
how
fun.
do you feel when a new leaf opens?
It's ridiculous, and I expect my husband to be just as excited as I
I
am.
know.
This played while I was with Jared, and Jared's like, does that sound familiar?
But you know what's funny about Swiss cheese plants is they're nothing new. Actually, Swiss cheese plants have been a houseplant since the 50s. Like people have had them in their home. If you watch any mid-century sitcoms, they're in the background of all of these shows because they have been in our homes for a while.
When you watch movies, or TV shows, do you point out plants on screen?
In my mind, yes. I am noticing every plant on screen because my second dream job, besides the plant bus, obviously, was to be a set greensman or greenswoman. You know what that is?
I'm assuming helps put plants.
Yeah, they do all the plants and the landscapes on set. For
set.
some reason, the novelty of that fenestration, those leaves opening, just has us hooked. So they're really cool. But yeah, it is determined by light. So the better the light, the more bright indirect light you provide, that filtered light level, the more mature the plant is, the more fenestrations.
So I do want you to talk to me about these.
Yeah. Okay, so these wacky guys, these are the aerial roots.
While we're looking at these, there's just like, to me it looks like little worms like, just sticking off, and I'm thinking, what the heck are these?
Yeah, they look really odd. They are kind of disconcerting to a lot of plant caretakers when they've never had a plant with air roots. They do kind of give like a dune sandworm vibe to them. That's why I'm always concerned when they start to form and I see them trailing across my whole house because they just like shoot themselves across the floor. I'll be vacuuming and I'm like, oh, look, there's a 3-foot Monstera root just hanging out on the floor of my laundry room. You know, they do kind of creep me out, but maybe that's just me. Monsteras in nature are what we consider hemiepiphytic.
Hemiepiphytic. What's that?
Hemi means half, and epiphyte is a plant that grows above ground or in tree branches. So these plants kind of can do whichever they want. They can grow in the ground, up the tree trunk, or in the branches. They kind of just grow all over the place.
Do they ever grow upside down on the branch? But then they want to be light.
Okay, there's this thing called gravitropism. Yeah, plants can actually sense which way is up. And so unless a plant is very intentionally growing to look like it's upside down, plants are always going to face their leaves up towards the sun. Technically, they are a vine. They are a massive vine, but they are a vine. You see how these stems stretch? I'd say I'm really bad. I've learned recently, I'm just terrible at visualizing dimensions, but they're like 2 feet up. They're starting to get like from here down. These vines are really starting to go, and they are looking a little leggy, and that's probably what you're feeling uncomfortable with their growth habit, right?
Yes, and I'm just concerned because I tried to stake them.
Yeah.
But it isn't working anymore, and it's not enough. And they did claim these would work.
She had multiple stakes in her pot. Is that a concern, or why would she have maybe chosen to do that?
Sometimes the growth is so wild on plants that people just keep sticking in supports to try to like hold the plant upright. And that's definitely the situation at hand here. But these stakes that Kristi used were really cool. I'd never seen them before. The internet is a fantastic place at times. And they were like these green plastic stakes. They were a little bit flexible, and they have these like fork prongs coming off them. They're like 2 to 3 inches.
Yeah.
Would that be was I visualizing that measurement correctly?
I think so.
And they were just there to hold the vines up, but it was very much a stopgap. That was not gonna last because they were only like 2 feet tall.
Not tall enough.
Not tall enough, no. Moss poles are sometimes hard for the average homeowner.
So they have to stay moist?
Yeah, the moss has to stay damp so that those roots actually tap into that moss. And that can be a challenge in like Midwest climates because we get so dry in the winter.
Right.
These aerial roots are basically seeking out a surface to attach them to because they're trying to crawl up. Can you picture them? They're almost animal-like. You know, I don't know, sometimes the aerial roots creep me out, but everybody asks me if they can trim these. It's not really usually a good idea to trim roots because you always are trying to get roots growing, but these roots, they're not really serving much of a purpose either because we have dry climate, so it's not like they're taking in humidity very much. They're also not attaching themselves to anything, which is the other purpose of roots. Besides taking in moisture and nutrients, roots are there for structure.
How are these air roots? They're just sticking out the middle of the stem. They're for structure.
Because they're going to attach themselves to trees. So they're there to attach themselves to something. But there's nothing to attach to, so they just keep growing out and out and out. And so because they're just hanging out, they're not really doing much, but I kind of just wrap mine around the plant, and it adds to the chaos that is the Monstera.
So you would just like wrap it around?
Yeah, I wrap mine. My Monstera is not quite as stretched out, but that's mainly because mine has been in a higher light setting. So plants adapt their growth according to the light that they receive. So when I talk about plants adapting to their environment, they have roots. So plants, unlike us, see, we can move if we're getting too much sunlight and we're getting sunburned and vice versa. Plants actually produce their growth according to the environment they're getting. So with Kristi's Monstera, her Monstera is producing some relatively smaller leaves with no holes in the leaves, and it's very leggy, stretched out growth. Whereas a Monstera that's growing under really bright light conditions, or not too bright that they're getting sun scorched, but brighter light conditions, gonna have larger leaves with the holes all over covering the leaves, and the stems are gonna be much stockier and shorter, more compact. There's gonna be less stretch between each leaf on the stem.
What's the biggest Monstera leaf you've seen?
That I've seen? Oh, probably as big as the torso of a person. But that's not even, I think they can get bigger. They can get several feet across.
Holy cow.
What you gotta do is you gotta work with what you have, you know?
Yes.
But they look really healthy. I was coming prepared to repot these for you. Are you feeling like they are drying out on you between watering?
A little bit, and I didn't know your opinion, but I put these in the like, it's like a soft sack.
Yeah, they've got the fabric bags.
Yes, and I tried those, and I wasn't sure if this plant needed a more like sturdier pot to grow.
Really, the pot and the pot itself, like both the material and the size, is about you as a grower. There's no reason to change it.
Okay.
Like, I can always give you the ideals. That's what my job is to tell you, like, theoretically, ideally, this is what you should do for the best success. But ultimately, if you have an experience that educates how you go about something, go with your experience, because it's what you've had success with.
Well, this was one of my first plants to actually watch kind of grow into its own. And so I really had no idea. I mostly just wanted something that would be easy for me to manage carrying. And the soft side seemed easier at the time. I wondered about elevation.
Yeah.
And so, you know, of course, just
these are
trying
on
to,
stands.
They're on stands. And so I guess I was just thinking like to the window, like maybe lifting it up was helpful to have plants on a stand.
Yeah, so there's this little thing called angle of incidence.
What is angle of incidence?
Basically, it's the angle at which light shines into a structure. And the reason this is pertinent with houseplants, because we use this all the time in greenhouse because we're growing all kinds of plants in a structure that light shines into. But with houseplants, we're thinking about where the most intense light is. So actually, the lowest light space in most rooms is going to be furthest away from the light source or furthest away from the window and high up in the room. And in Kristi's case, the brightest place for her Monstera to be placed would be next to the window and lowest in the room, so on the floor. So her plant stand's not really necessary to increase the light intensity, but it's not lifting it up. It's only a foot off the ground, so it's not lifting it up so much that it's actually limiting the light. Because they've already stretched up to this point,
Yes.
it's not like increasing light is going to make them shrink back down and be more compact. You have choices from this point onward. I know they feel really lanky.
They do.
Some people just embrace it.
Her plant's fairly tall. If she's thinking it's just way too tall, is she just gonna have to live with it, or is there anything she can do?
Well, there's kind of three things that you can do. You can, one, start over and get a whole new young plant and grow it in brighter light. You can cut it all the way back to the base and reflush growth, or you can take a cutting from the top of the plant and reroot it. But honestly, I'm gonna just suggest she works with what she has, because I wouldn't want to do any three of those things.
I wouldn't either.
So these plastic rods work really well because they don't rot. And
Right.
they have these little forks for holding the
And poking your eye.
for holding up the vines. But they're also very pliable. And so they're going to lean with weight too.
Yes.
They're not as rigid.
Yes.
And so there's that factor. So yes, they work well, but honestly, this plant's gonna be too weighty for them eventually.
So this is what happened. We were playing cards, and then
How dare you interrupt the card game,
It did. It
Monster.
fell, and of course, you know, my daughter-in-law, of course, knowing what's important in life, abandoned the cards to rescue the plant.
How quick would a plant need to be rescued if it does topple over?
Honestly, I would have finished the round of card games if it were me. I mean, what would you do if the plant fell over in the middle of a card game?
Finish the card games, because card games are very important.
Well, do you want me to grab the steak?
I think we should try to stake it.
I'll be right back. So I went, grabbed my steak from the car. What I would recommend doing, and I think we're gonna go ahead and do this, we're gonna
Okay.
put one central stake in and see if we can get this wrangled. Are you okay if I do this?
Yes.
Or do you wanna go for it?
No, I'm okay with it.
I feel like I know I can picture exactly what's... Oh my Lord. You crack me up. You're a hoot.
I was trying not to react.
Okay,
It
so
seems so intrusive.
sometimes it feels like you're stabbing the heart of the beast here a little bit.
It does a little bit.
This is a one and done thing. When you stake a plant, you want it to go in and you don't want to twist it around or move it, because you're going straight down into that web of roots.
Right.
And that's what stabilizes the stake.
Do sometimes people not get their stake deep enough in the pot?
Yeah, I'd stick that stake all the way to the bottom, all the way to the base, because the more length of stake down into the root system, the more sturdy it's gonna be. And also, once you stick it in, you don't wanna pull it back up halfway or, like you really gotta leave it. So here's what I'm doing. I'm trying to stretch it out as much as possible. Do you see how I'm doing this?
I do.
If the theory is they're growing up a tree trunk, do we have to help them maybe grow up our stake?
Yes, you do have to use some sort of tie to secure it to the stake, and it's really important when you're doing that process that you try to stretch out the vine as much as possible and keep it as tight, because remember, I'm training like 5 to 6 vines onto one central stake here, and so the cleaner you keep it as you work your way up, the easier it's going to be to continue adding more and more vines to the singular stake.
It's so much happier already.
Is it?
I feel like it is. Okay.
Okay, good. I'm happy if you're happy.
I was hoping there was
so
a way to kind of give it a little bit more support.
Yeah.
I felt bad.
As you get them trained to the stake, will that give more leaves an opportunity to get light?
Yeah, because it'll allow because I'm basically stretching out the vine so that because before the vine was kind of crunched down all in, together. So this way I'm giving more negative space for the plant so that light can reach into the center of the canopy and help some of those younger, smaller shoots grow as well.
Are you starting at the bottom, working your way up to get it stretched out?
Yeah, I started with the biggest vine, the longest vine, and I started from the base upward so that I kind of had a systematic way to go about this. You just kind of got to take it one bite at a time.
I think what was holding me up was moss pole. Like all I ever saw was moss pole, and I thought, well, I don't want that. Like I didn't,
The only thing I will say about wooden stakes versus the plastic is that they can rot, and eventually that's a problem. But
Okay.
problem for another day.
For another day.
I still think they work the best and they look the most natural.
Yeah.
What I will say about this is, at least with a stake and not a moss pole, it's not like the roots are growing into the stake like they would with the moss pole. So it would still be possible to trade out the stake as necessary. Or I've also thought about this before, you could add a secondary stake to support the stake that's rotted out. Okay, so we got one done.
One stem? That's all we've
Yeah.
done so far, right? The big middle one?
Yep, all I've got done is one stem. Look at it already.
It is such a happy plant.
I mean, it looks so much better already.
It
Just by that.
does. That is pretty amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
It really is. I was so worried that we were going to have to I was going to have to just do the younger plants and this was going to be maybe not fixable.
So Shelby, I have a question for you. If you're looking up information on how to do something, whether that's taking care of plants or, cooking a new recipe, how do you go about doing that on the great World Wide Web?
Well, here's the thing. Because of my growing up and for what I do for work, I type in K-State at the end. Because a lot of times when it comes to, even if it's Oklahoma State or Colorado State, it should be factual information. And if not, I'm just going to see if I can find a credible source.
There is so much information out there about moss pole or different, they have so many things right now because plants are very popular. So I think it was just the too much information, too many options, and not sure what would work best.
In your searching for things, if we take out your books that you often reference, how are you doing it?
How am I looking for accurate information? Well, because I have a horticulture degree, I kind of know what sources to look at. Like you were saying, you put in K-State with your search to help pull up studies and information that's accurate. I also know to look like skip all the blogs, skip all the marketing, because the horticulture industry has a lot of blogs and a lot of companies writing blogs to market their product. And so you can pretty much rule those all out from the get-go. But in the horticulture world, there's really a few main sources that you can rely on for certain. Your land-grant universities, so your .edu, .org sites, and also your societies are generally pretty good. So there's actually specific societies for groups of plants, like the Orchid Society, the Gesneriad Society, and in Kristi's case, there's actually an Aroid Society, which is all philodendrons and monsteras and pothos vines. Yeah, they have their own society. I know it sounds cultish, but aren't we really? I mean, plant people are kind of cultish.
And I think that was the other hesitancy I had too with staking, as I wasn't sure if I could do what you're doing in the fact of kind of layering the plant on both sides. Kind of just not sure how to follow it seems to me like you're following the natural curve of the plant.
We're already leaning a little bit. I was just trying to fit those vines onto that stake because that was a lot to fit onto one central stake. I'm glad she split the plants up.
That would have been a big plant if it was only in one pot.
Honestly, it would have been in a larger pot by now, and I probably would have recommended 2 stakes rather than just 1. No, the plant just tells me. It's magic. I do want to mention that we did talk fertilizer, Kristi and I did, very briefly, but she was using this little squirt bottle, pump bottle, and squirting the fertilizer directly into the pot. So I kind of helped her work through how to mix it in a watering can so that she can evenly apply it to her Monstera every time she waters during its active growth season. So that would be March through September. And this is something that I recommend for all houseplants for most home situations.
Why would you want her to put it in the watering can versus just pumping it on the plant?
It helps evenly distribute the fertilizer, the nutrients to the roots. So then I actually made Kristi demonstrate how much water she was putting in her plant because she doesn't actually have drainage holes in her pots. So I wanted to make sure that she was watering correctly because the plants did look a little bit drought stricken.
It's probably not enough. I would be done.
Okay, that's definitely diet watering.
I feel like so
Well, but you know what? It's better to be on the dry side than too much.
Okay, because I do tend to overwater.
Yeah, but they're also in small enough container with enough plant that here's what I would do. I would do a little bit more, but see, what's nice is when you have pots that have sausage on them and you can see when they drain out the bottom, you know when
Then
you've done.
I did wonder about that.
Then what's actually more important is making sure that it dries out well between watering.
How do you determine if you've dried your plant out thoroughly?
The way that I know that my plants are dry is multifaceted. I don't just look at a plant's soil and think visually, oh yeah, that soil looks lighter in color, it's dry. I don't just look to see if a plant is wilted looking or getting like some leaf tip crispiness to know that it's a little bit on the dry side. And I don't just feel the potting mix or feel by weight. I do all of these things together and they all corroborate the story that my plant needs water. And so that's one thing I have a hard time sometimes getting across to your average Joe home grower because you have to take into account a lot of different factors to be the most accurate waterer. It's actually the most difficult skill a grower has to learn is how to water their plants, in my opinion.
And this was one of my first plants that I bought from you and nurtured. And so since then I've gone to dropping the plant, what do you call them?
The cash pots.
What is a cash pot?
A cash pot is a decorative pot that you drop a plastic grow pot down into. So you still have the drainage holes and the grow pot in the grow pot itself, but then the decorative pot makes it pretty and keeps water from leaking all over your house.
So then I'm able to see that it's draining through, and that's actually worked out better for me overall, and I think that's what's kept them healthy. That's why I was nervous about the sack bottom.
Right. It is a little bit more challenging, and if you get to the point where you feel like it is a struggle, moving them up to a plastic nursery pot and then dropping them in the same basket might be helpful.
If we're going up in size ever with a pot or transitioning it, do you just take the stake and all with it?
Yeah, treat the stake like it's a stem in the plant. So it just gets moved with the plant. Actually, I was thinking as I was doing this with Kristi versus with Stacy, that it's actually wise to not do these both at the same time. To stake it when it's in its smaller pot and wait to repot it into a bigger size till later, because this made the stake much more stable. Because if you're staking into loose potting mix, that stake's never gonna stay upright. So I almost recommend to people, if they need to stake and repot, stake first, wait till your plant gets rooted for about 6 months or even up to a year, and then repot the next year. Okay, so I've kind of cleaned up the plant. and trained it. I feel like I did the harder of the two Monsteras here. So,
Yes.
because this one's going to be a little bit smaller, but you will need a second pair of hands to do it because as you saw, we had to kind of help each other out there. After staking always like this, the leaves are always kind of look a little bit crazy, but they'll reorient themselves. Now you notice I haven't done anything with the aerial roots. And that's because I really don't believe in cutting them. But if you want to cut them after I leave, what I don't see can't hurt me. Just remember that creating a wound on your plant when you make a cut, that it is opening the plant to its environment around it. So use a clean tool, like a scissors that you've sterilized in between cutting your other plants. That Monstera is looking fabulous. Do you like it?
I do. I really was worried that I'd harmed it beyond repair.
What's the chance she would actually harm it beyond repair?
Very slim to none.
So I'm very excited to see it up and it's lifted and it feels like it has access to the sun. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it does look like it got a lift. But anyways, what was your main takeaway from my house call today? Did you learn something new that was like changed how you see your plants?
Well, I think I started to understand a little bit better about the watering and how important it is to water thoroughly and then also be able to monitor it. I like kind of the experimenting side of things. I was also nervous about staking the plant just because I was afraid it would harm it in some way. And so my big takeaway now is that just looking at the plant, I can see that it now has more access and more room to grow by being staked. And it still looks wild, which I did like. I did like the wild look of it before, and it didn't take away from that by staking it.
Are you going to feel comfortable doing the other plant?
I think I will. And I also think that it was interesting to talk about, and I do appreciate that when we have plant conversations, you talk to me about what this plant looks like in its natural surroundings, and that helped me to think about it because you're like, this is a vine, and a vine is going to wrap as it grows, and a vine will seek the sun, and so all of those things I think are going to help me understand the staking process, and then kind of helping those naturally as much as possible naturally vine around the stake.
Right. And I think that I try really hard not to tell people one method is better than another method because what works for one grower may work for them and not for another person. But if I can retrain your frame of mind to think about what a plant needs, then you can better provide that, you know?
Yes.
So I hope that came across.
Yes, and not overwhelming at all. And what I need is to be able to continue this hobby. Like it's become part of my day and part of my life is to grow things. And I never thought I would be, but my thumb isn't green yet, but I have hope.
I think there's an argument that your thumb's pretty green. Just looking around at your house. I mean, what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
There's 2 there.
I know, but in this room, in the living room we're sitting in, there is 23. No, 24. I knew if I were an auctioneer, I could do that better. But 24 plants in one room. I'd say you have a green thumb.
When we walked in the door, it was kind of a wild Monstera, and now when we left, it was a contained or structured Monstera. And so what do you think are some key takeaways for maybe helping people get the really wild to structured wild?
Well, number one, you got to realize and tell yourself so that you believe it, that staking helps, it doesn't hurt your plants. In the long run, your plant's going to be much more healthy. So just rip the Band-Aid off and get it done. The second thing that's really important when you're doing this process is to actually visualize how your plant grows in nature. And if you've got to Google some images of your plant in the wild to help you out, do it. But that imagination part of picturing it is so helpful when you're starting to train your vines up a stake. So yeah, that's what I got for you.
If people are wanting to learn more about structuring their plants or other things from the Plant Bus Lady, how can I do that?
To actually see some supporting content for this episode so you can visualize how this process went down and to see some other bonus content, head to my YouTube channel or my Substack And if you just want to know some more plant care assistance that is not bogged down by the great World Wide Web, head to renatasgarden.com because there you will find my plant guide with all things plant care.